Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Madam, is there any issue with my audibility, madam? Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Huh?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. I think there is some issue with my video, madam, so I am coming without a video.
Okay.
Huh?
Okay.
Not the video I have actually. So, shall I start sharing?
Sir, wait for 5 minutes, sir.
Yeah, okay.
Amul solution of the failure.
Today's guest we have Dr. D. Justice, Associate Professor of Department of Business Administration, Annamalai University. He has 18 years of teaching and research experience and 10 years of industry experience. He published 36 international journals, 77 national journals. His focus areas are logistics, advertising, behavior of organization and consumer, human resource, marketing, and strategic management. He has been a coordinator for Outback West, national level management meet, and student welfare portfolio. He has expertise in story based case writing. He has also been the author of the book Business published by the Himalaya Publishers. He has received the Best Doctoral Thesis Award of the year 2009-10 received at ICIMP Business Administration, Annamalai University. Now this is hand over to our respected guest. We welcome you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, madam. So, in case if there's any audibility issues, you can just tell it to me. Oh, just a minute, ma'am. Just start. So, good morning, friends. Let's have a very happy session today. Madam, how long should the session be taken, madam? What is the time? What is the actual plan time for you?
8:30 to 11:30, sir.
10:30, 11:30. Okay. Okay, fine, madam. Is it all faculty members inside?
Yes, sir.
It's a faculty member. Okay, madam. So, is my screen visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. So, in a speech in South Africa in 1890, Mahatma Gandhi said, a customer is the most important visitor on our premises. This is very familiar. He is not dependent on us. We are dependent on him. He is not an interruption of our work. He is the purpose of it. He is not an outsider of our business. He is part of it. We are not doing him a favor by serving him. He is doing us a favor by giving us the opportunity to do so. So actually, the present environment is very competitive. Whatever we say, the environment is very competitive. A student is of utmost importance if our college is to be successful. So basically, the very basis of our existence in a college as a faculty is student. So this is the focus that we ought to have when we enter in as a teacher. So basically, the most important person on the premises is the student. So often, we give lesser importance to students. So this is what we teach the student on the first day. On the first day, we ask them to draw 3 columns in the last page of the notebook. One is called the goal, the mission, the other is called the goal, the other is called the vision. So a student has to have a vision, mission, and a goal. So if you ask him to write a vision, mission, and a goal on the first day, he will write a word for the HR manager. Maybe mission he will not know, maybe goal he will not know. After 1 week, the vision will change, the mission will change, the goal will change. Simple. The vision is that after 10 years, I want to be this and this in such a kind of company. This is my vision. Mission. I should study very well right from the first day. Every day I should study well. These are the kind of learnings that I should have. So, for example, we will be taking a paper called Human Resource Management. Those from MBA Commerce will be knowing this. If it is a wider population, you can just note it down. But this is something I am being a faculty from MBA. I will take more of examples from MBA, but it is all common. So when we take a paper called Human Resource Management, there it talks about performance appraisal, there it talks about compensation, everything. But what we suggest is, if you have a HRM paper in the second semester, before the first semester, make a student to read a book called Maverick, Maverick. This book, Maverick, was written by a person called Ricardo Semler, Ricardo, Ricardo Semler. So in this book, you can find things like a person, an employee can come to the company at any time, he can leave the company at any time. An employee himself can set his own salary, critical methods, out of which he can choose his own method. For selecting a manager, the supervisors of the the person lower the head up. So we can call it whatever the foreman, whatever designation you can give. So he has to, at the 3 or 4 foremen will go and select for the interview to select the manager. That is, the person lower in the hierarchy will go for the interview. They will select who is their boss. Okay. Everything will be reversed in this company. But this company is one of the most successful companies in Brazil. But in HR, we will be taking a completely different point of view. So we have different There are many different ways in which you can make your company successful. So that is why we make the student to write a vision, mission, and goal. And goal is what he will achieve over a short-term period. Let's say 2 years, over a 2 year span, over a 1.5 year span. Over a 3 year span. That is what we call as goal. So every week he will have to update the vision, mission, and goal. If he really has this thing in the last page of his notebook, you can ensure that he will have a successful career in the college. So make all the students to have these three things. The last page of his notebook, let him update it once a week, once a month, and you can see the results. Okay. So if you are going to an afternoon class, this is not being done every day, once a month, once a week, or in your regular workshop. But before doing anything, check whether the student is physically capable. So that is important. So this is what we call as management games. This is a very simple game where the game is just pass on the smile. So this man will, one person will start jumping, and he will smile at someone, and the person to whom he smiles will start jumping. Then the game is all about when the time taken for everyone to pass a smile. I'll just give you this video. I'll just show you this video. This is a model management game. We have got so many games, and if this was an offline class rather than an online class, we would have definitely enjoyed with a few management games. Unfortunately, it is not possible today, but at least let's see the video. The goal is to get that smile stick around the group as fast as possible. So how you get not smile to smile or stick with the smile at everybody. For example, like that. I have to say that there's that one thing together with this person and send it around to the next person as fast as we can. So that's the center of the group that actually time this best. We don't have a time this, so we're going to get a time version here. Ready? I'm going to start. Get set. Go. Okay, you could have seen the age group of the people and the excitement the game brought in. So the day you find a class as a little bit monotonous, you can just throw in a little bit of a management game to revitalize the class. Okay, just take, this is one more icebreaker. I've just taken, this is very simple. You have to do the opposite of what you say. It's very, this will be very common, but for if anybody has not seen this, it can be interesting. But look at the laughter that accompanies this management game. So to say what I say and to do what I say. Say what I say and do what I say. For example, jump left. Jump left. Good stuff. Okay. Jump left. Jump left. Jump in. Jump left. Jump left. Jump in. Jump left. Jump left. Now, I want you to say the opposite of what I say. Say the opposite of what I say, but do what I say. Say the opposite of what I say, but do what I say. But did I mention to you that this activity really messes with my head? Say the opposite of what I say. Say the opposite of what I say, but do what I say. wondering what they were doing actually. Everyone did it wrong. So this is what happens in a management game. So it will be very interesting if you can have these things. Okay. So once a little boy, while he was having the chickens to hatch, he put in the egg of an eagle. So what happened when the chicks hatched, along with the chicks, there hatched an eagle. This eagle learned to search for its food just like how the chicks search for the fish. It just scratched the ground, it found small insects, it ate them. It was happy to lead a life like a chick. One day, it saw an eagle soaring high in the sky. It just wondered, what is this kind of a bird that soars so high in the sky, whereas I am just catching from a foot on the ground. This eagle never imagined that it is made of a metal that can really soar so high in the sky. So one day, a bird came, he saw the eagle. He just asked the eagle, what are you doing here? He was amazed at why the eagle was running behind the chicks. He picked up the eagle, he threw it as high as possible into the sky. The eagle was so afraid, the eagle thought it was going to die. Anyway, it was afraid of falling. So it just opened its wings. And once it opened its wings, it stayed afloat for about half an hour, trying to balance itself. It had so much of fear that if it falls to the ground, it will break its leg. So out of its fear, it just spread its wings and just managed to stay afloat for about half an hour. After about half an hour, it suddenly found that it has got the strength to stay afloat, so it started soaring high. Soared higher, just went further apart, and it just found its full potential. Okay. So we have many of the students who are like this eaglets. They think that there is not much in them. They are just shy students. Actually, I find three types of students in the class. One, whether they have the talent or not, they will lift their hands for everything. Whatever be the work, whether they know that they will be the first ones to raise their hand, they will get all the positions. In every student's meeting, they will be the person occupying the chair. And if you tell them that last time I gave the chair to you, this time you have to share it with somebody, they'll create all sorts of problems. So that is one category. Number two, we have students with inner talents, lots of capabilities, not real shyness, but they won't come out. If you just tap them, they will just perform beyond all expectations. Nobody knows that they will be a performer, but if you are the right person to study a student, and if you tap them, they will have so much of potential, and their potential will be a motivation to other students as well as they will have the capability to teach other students to perform better. So it is this group that we have to tap first. Based on this group only, we can develop the others in the class. So we can, so very similar to the eaglet example, it is the ability to tap these students. This is what is expected from teachers. Okay. So teachers are change agents. Basically, we are change agents. So we have to bring the change. Any change can be brought about by three methods. One is called push. The other is called pull. The other is called come out. The incident that I told where we have talented students who might not raise their hands, but once we tap them, once we tell them, I know that you have the talent, you have to come out, they will happily join the bandwagon and they will be very successful students. So that is what we call as pull. See, once there was at a particular place, people are dating in a falls. The water was from the falls was falling into a pond-like thing. It was forming a pool. From there it flowed somewhere else. Suddenly, one little guy fell into the pond, and he didn't know how to get out. Everyone was shouting, save him, but there was no one who wanted to jump in to save him because there was a strong current. Out of nowhere, an old man jumped in. He caught the bird. The process, the old man almost drowned, and he escaped, but he saved the bird. Finally, when the old man came out, everyone ran to him and asked him, for your age, what made you jump in? What made you to take the risk? He said, I'm searching for the person who pushed me in. So many a times, this is how change occurs. We often push a student when he is not mentally and psychologically prepared, and maybe his confidence might go down. With a lot of preparation only, always change has to be made through the pull process. Push process can be utilized only somewhere else. This kammal is something which you might use in case of dress code and other things like that. When you want to maintain a certain dress code and all, there the change will be kammal. Okay. So what is this group influence to change? I'll give you a small example. Once we were conducting a huge meeting, a program that many colleges from outside were participating in. We were about to light the Puthuvalakka, all the dignitaries were around the Puthuvalakka to light the Puthuvalakka. The person who was supposed to have the matchbox in his hand, he was the student coordinator. Just then, one college had come and they were unable to find it. Just to help them, he just ran off. He completely forgot that the lighting of the Puthuvalakka will take place in the next few seconds. So everyone was there. The matchbox was in his hands. So there was a 10-second confusion. After we faculty members were also there, we always ensure that we have one matchbox with us because we always know that in a student's program, mistakes like this will happen. So it was just a 5-second, just a glance for the matchbox, before which we provide the matchbox. And within the next 30 seconds, the ball also reached there. But as faculty in charges, we never told the boy that he made a mistake. We said you did the right thing. Someone needs you have to run there. That's all. This is how we have to handle students. If you scold them, it will have an impact on the entire students. And this is what happens when you scold students. So I've just put in the example of a balloon. If you press a balloon at one point, the air inside the balloon will have to shift somewhere inside. We do not know where the balloon has deformed, but definitely the balloon would have deformed at some point, which might not be visible to us. So when you handle students also, you have to be very careful, you have to be very sensitive. Otherwise, even if that student is taking it in a nice manner, the impact will be there somewhere else. So because I am from MBA, these kind of events will be there for many people. Of course, commerce, economics, everyone I think will be taking part in these kinds of events. For science, you might have your own events. that definitely your students should take part in these kinds of events. These are usually the events that take that as part of this management meet and all. So now everything is shifting to online mode. Even these kind of needs are shifting to online mode. If we are not shifting to online mode, and in the name of pandemic, if we are not conducting all these things, then it means that somewhere uh, our students will have a lack. So when students attend these kinds of programs, this is what they are going to get: leadership, confidence, ability to work in a team, overcome shyness. Our boy will be very shy to enter the stage, but when he is along with the team, along with his classmates, along with his members, he will not feel the shyness. It is not overcoming stage fear. It is actually enjoying the stage. That's what happens when he takes part in these events. It is not about stage fear at all. It is enjoying the stage. The word is not overcoming stage fear. It is actually typically it's enjoying the stage creatively. When they take part in ad job and all, you might get out of the box suggestions, out of the box ideas. And the next point is very important: learning to accept defeat. You might take part in best manager. There will be only 5 people on the stage. Everyone will have the clap for him, everything. But when the result comes, he might not be the winner. He might have been, he might have got the second place because there it is all. The difference is very minute. Huh? Okay, so you have to learn to accept defeat. Once you have learned to accept defeat, that is the biggest learning that you have received. So this is very important in life, learning to accept defeat, because no one can be successful all the time. And multitasking and etiquettes are very important. What kind of dressing you should have, how should you eat, how should you hold the spoon, how should you wear a tie. So etiquette is very important. So these are the things you are going to get when you participate in these, when you make your students participate in these kinds of events. Even if you are unable to send your students to other colleges, have these kinds of events within your college in online mode. That's very important. Okay. So I was talking about team when I was you were showing the slide. I said your ability to work in a team is very important. This is a jigsaw puzzle. You would have all seen a jigsaw puzzle. So this jigsaw puzzle teaches us a lot of things. The first thing is there are boundaries. If you take a look at the corner pieces, those pieces are the corner, which means you have to operate within those boundaries. Point number 2, each piece plays a specific role in the solution. So each piece has got a specific role. If you put one piece, that might be the eye. If you put one piece, that might be part of the tongue. If you put the other piece, that is the other part of the tongue. If you put another piece, that is the other eye, one of the ear. So each piece has got a specific role. Third point, pieces are highly interconnected. That is where teamwork occurs. If you are not interconnecting, that's why I left one piece open. If you are not interconnecting the pieces, the picture is not full. So if a team has to perform, the team must be interconnected. There are 5 people in creating an advertisement. If one fellow suddenly leaves the place, or if one fellow is erratic, the advertisement is gone. Okay, these are highly interconnected. So each piece is unique. So each piece has got a different shape. You can see one piece has got 3 openings, some pieces has got 4 openings. No 2 pieces got the same shape. So each piece is unique. The whole is better than the sum of its parts. That's very important. If you connect everything, you get the picture of a puppy. But if they are not put together, you do not know what is the picture. The whole is better than the sum of its parts. So some pieces are central. The nose piece is central. The eye piece is central. Whereas some are peripheral. So in your team performance also, some persons will be some key performers. Some performers will be peripheral performers. Okay, there are natural groupings. Within the team, there will be natural grouping. Maybe there will be two very good friends. You have to accept everything. Within the team, you have to accept all those things. And pieces need someone to move them. That is where teachers play a role. Unless teachers motivate, students will not go there. So these pieces need someone to move them. And rapid solution is aided by someone with an overall vision. The person who knows the piece should know where to put the piece, or which piece should be located at which point. So, student has to be trained before a program. So, this jigsaw puzzle teaches us so many things. Okay. So, next is, this is very important, organizational commitment. So, what is organizational commitment? It is the employee's belief in the degree to which they impact their work environment. It is not employees, it is teachers. The belief of teachers, the degree to which they impact their work environment, their competence, the meaningfulness of the job, and the perceived autonomy in their workplace. Actually, I didn't put one more slide. It is on affective component. What is affective component? It is the emotional attachment to the organization and the belief in its values. The affective component talks about the emotional attachment to the organization. It is said that if you go to a person working in a Tata group and ask him who he is, he will say, I am a Tata man and so and so. He will say, well, I am a Tata man. So that is a kind of attachment it is said that they have to their company. Okay. So wherever you study, wherever you work, wherever you are, that is the kind of attachment you should have. If you are in, say, ABC college, you should be very proud that I am an ABC employee, and it is your pride that gets reflected in your students. Every student, every teacher in your institute should bear the pride. Then only you can be successful. So we have something called as the rotten apple principle. One rotten apple will spoil the rest of the barrel. So one negative staff member will destroy the positive attitude of others. I said affective component. Affective component means you are so much attached to your organization, you are proud that you are working in that organization. Even if there is one member who keeps pointing something negative about your organization, then it destroys the positive attitude of the others. So in that case, the negative person has to be counseled. And it is very essential the positive attitude of the rest of the staff has to be maintained. So this rotten apple principle is very important. You have to check with your students if any such thing is there, and in that case, you should go for you should take them for counseling. And you can also do this. This is called the go back principle. What is the go back principle? It is usually used by riding a bicycle. If someone falls down from the bicycle, then the next thing he has to do is he has to get back onto the bicycle and he has to continue cycling. So I said learning from a defeat is very important. Accepting the defeat is very important. If you go to an event, let's say you have got the first place, you'll be very sad because first prize they were going to stage to receive a prize, second and third place they were going to stage to receive a prize. And it is really the best for the third place because you would have known that in the Olympics, every player who got the first place has been given a card by Tata Motors. So it is the third place which is the very difficult one. If you lose in the first one, no issues. So if that is the case, then you have to teach your students this go-back principle. So this go-back principle is very important to motivate your students. Okay. What is this Pygmalion effect? So it's also called the Rosenthal effect. Actually, this is based on a play by George Bernard Shaw. It's a very simple story. A sculptor fell in love with a statue that he created. He created a statue, and just as he started working with the statue, at some point he fell totally in love with that particular creature, particular creation. And the story goes that the statue came to life and they lived happily ever after. So same thing, this Pygmalion effect has to be applied to students also. So as soon as the student enters the college, you have to form an opinion. I can make him very successful. So your expectation, your behavior, student behavior, everywhere there is some change, and the student's new behavior, finally the strengthening of the teacher's expectation. So this Pygmalion effect is very important when we handle students. Okay. Communication and presentation for teachers. So what is basically communication? Communication is ensuring that the message that we want to convey reaches them in the way that we wanted them to understand it. It is not about putting some unknown words and confusing the students. Many a times we have seen that someone communicates something that we will not have understood anything about it. So it's always that we should understand it properly. For instance, if you go to a railway station, just before a train enters the railway station, you hear an announcement. Train number ABCD will arrive in platform number 1 within the next 10 minutes. They have said that train number ABCD will arrive in platform number 1. On hearing this, we do not find anyone jumping to the railway line because the announcement is that the train is arriving on platform number 1. Everyone knows that the train will arrive only in the railway line adjoining or next to platform number 1. And no one does not believe that the train is going to arrive in platform number 1. Okay. Again, if the driver understands it so perfectly, what should he do? He should stop the railway station at the entrance of the, he should stop the train at the entrance of the railway station, make everyone get on the train, ask them to lift the train, put it on the platform, and he has to drive it on the platform if he understands it that way. So it is just that the communication communicates the message in a perfect manner. Okay. So eye contact, this is very important. It's an element of good teacher-student interaction. This teacher gaze is part of the non-verbal interaction that reflects teacher-student interpersonal relationship. Teachers who gaze at students during listening are preferred over teachers who gaze at them during teachers' talk. So we look at students when we talk, and when a student talks, we prefer to turn the other way. So that's a very big mistake. The eye of the speaker goes continuously from one person to another as they talk. Your eye is not supposed to be fixed at one particular person. Does it keep moving? Okay. or if you think so, come by practice. What is podium? A podium cannot be treated as a security blanket. It cannot be a barrier that separates you from the listener. You have to make eye contact in order to develop a rapport. So good speakers stand a little bit to one side of the podium so it does not block from the audience. So podium usage is extremely important. Many persons get irritated when there is a question session. But honestly, a question session adds variety to presentation by giving the audience a limited opportunity to participate. You make me sit as an audience, I'll feel very bored. But occasionally, if I can talk something, if I can interact, then the monotony will dissipate. Okay. So this is what we should do in a question session. Call on as many different questions as possible. That is, make different people ask one question. Limit each member to one question. Give a brief answer. Don't keep talking too much. Give brief answer. Never continue with an argument with someone. Actually, this very much happens to newbie teachers. I remember when I joined as a lecturer, after 10 years of industry experience, the student never knew that I am experienced. So he wanted to show his powers. There was only one guy who would ask stupid questions in every class. Not in every class, in the first class. He would ask me 2 or 3 questions. Also, he is a very big expert in the field, and he thought I was a newbie. So you never get into a discussion or an argument with only one member of the audience. I'll tell you how to handle such kind of questions in the next slide. So if somebody asks a question, this is what you should do. You have to wait for 3 seconds. Then repeat the question to the audience. You have to repeat the question to the audience. If someone asks something about, say, something about lead time, or something about safety stuff. You have a question on safety stuff. You have to now ask the question. So what is this problem maintaining the safety stuff? So once you repeat the question, already you have waited 3 seconds. Point number 1. Now you have repeated the question another 5 seconds. So you would have got some 8 seconds. Within this 8 seconds, if you are smart, you would have thought about the answer. You would have planned the answer. So, when you repeat the questions, you get time to think. The biggest advantage is that you will be facing the audience, whereas the person who asks you the question will be part of the audience. So, if he is in the first bench, he might not be audible to the back benches, but you are facing the audience, which means you will be more audible. So everyone in the audience has a chance to hear the question. And once you have repeated the question, now you are the person who has put the question and not the person from the listener's side. So the attention remains with the speaker, not on the person who asked the question. And naturally, you pull the question from the person who asked the question, and now you can start answering. So he won't get any limelight. Once he don't get any kind of limelight, he will stop asking questions just for fun sake. So this is what we call as presentation inventory. When you make your students to present their seminars, when you have such kind of sessions, you should make them fill this presentation inventory. So this presentation inventory will be very useful to students. Like they can start improving after each presentation. So this is what we call as presentation inventory. But what are the components of a lecture? So this is when you give a class lecture or when your students present at a seminar. These three P's are extremely important. It is called pitch, pace, and pass. What is pitch? You would have heard of Sarigama Palanisa. They are musical notes. Between the first sa and the last sa, between the 8 notes, we call it as an octave. And there is a one note difference between sa and di, re and da and ma and pa, everything. You have one note difference, which means your voice, your pitch, it keeps changing. It just moves one note higher, one note lower. Unless you have difference in your pitch, you will sound extremely boring. Yes. When you talk about things which is known to the audience, you will talk fast. And when you talk about things which is not known to the audience, you will talk slow. So you vary your pace according to the audience. And pass. One common example I find for pass is a song called Kiki Erde in Padayappa. If you go through that song, if you hear this, you will know that there will be a certain phase in that song where abruptly the song will stop. After about 1 or 2 seconds, the song will restart with a punchline. Daddy Sunday, Mother Sunday, something like that. So, even if you are sleeping, because you are hearing some noise, and suddenly because you don't hear any noise, you will wake up. And when you wake up, you will wake up to a powerful line. So pass is something very important when you talk. So these are the 3 P's that should make up your lecture, including my lecture today. So what are the flaws in visual aids? As teachers, we are often part of these things. Showing slides that are out of order. We will be taking a class on inventory. Suddenly, there will be a slide that pops up. That slide will be on receivables management or cash management. Okay. Slides that are upside down. It will be really frustrating when you see a slide upside down. Okay. Inappropriate or unconnected slides. At least a cash management slide in inventory management we can adjust. But if you get something like a war slide or something in your financial management class, it will be very uncomfortable. So next one, making audience wait while the speaker searches for the right icon to click. So you might not know where you have placed your material. So these are some of the common flaws which we make while which we often do in while we're making presentations. And this is what you have to check. With every lecture, you should yourself make a check what you did on these areas. You can also make use of this while students are doing their seminars. So this is something very important. When you take a class or when we are taking a class, the central message has to be set. So today's class is on academic excellence. At the end of the day, all my points should focus on academic excellence. So So I should know whether if the message has reached you. I should know whether the flow of ideas was logical. Did I make use of stories? If there was story, was the story relevant to you? That's very important. Did I make a good opening? Am I going to close it properly? It's almost time for me to close. I think I've been given time till 11:30. I'm touching the time. Okay. You all will be ready now. Oh. Then eye contact, handling unexpected events. What is this unexpected event? Some 15 years back, when I went, some 20, 18 years back, when I went for my orientation, those were the days of OHPs. No, the LCDs had entered but was not popular. Those were the days of LC. And not LCD, OHP. One very famous person, very top personality, he came with a very good preparation in his OHP slides. But the only thing he was not ready was that the orientation took place at a certain place. Actually, it was a temporary place where literally there was no power. So he started happily. Once he changed the first transparency, power entered. So every day from say 10:30 to 12:30 or 10:30 to 2 o'clock we won't have. So for the next 10 minutes he managed something, but he was totally dependent on his slides. He was not quite prepared. He only brought the slides. Then finally he did one thing. He just took the slides and straight away read straight from the slides. So this is what we call as word coming. This is what we call as unexpected events. You should be ready for everything. This is again a checklist that you have to check. You can get the help of some of your friends to do this. Okay. So all these things. Or if it's a video session, you can again go through the video and find out if there was any kind of mistake, any kind of whatever went negative with your presentation. But because I'm running out of time, what are publications? This is something very important. Why should I publish? Where should I publish? Today, the standard norm is that you have to publish it in Scopus or Web of Science or your ABDC journals and everything. If I have to publish only in Scopus, how many publications can I have? Well, let's say we'll have 1 or 2 publications in Scopus every year. Then why do I have institution journals? Almost every institution has got a journal. Say you name it, they have a journal. They take IBA, they have a journal. First School of Management, my university, BIMTech, everyone. Say all the leading institutes, they have a journal. I don't think 99% of all those things are not in these purpose or anywhere. But they all have very eminent people as editors. We have got very many institutes, almost every institute, PSG, BCom, everyone has got good journals. They do a quality work. So let's forget this purpose in Web of Science, that the needed numbers we can have. But always what to do with all the ideas we have, especially in management, the number of journals and purpose in Web of Science is somewhat limited. So we move for very good journals where we have a strong editorial board, and it is the editorial board that gives us the confidence. And most of the institute journal, I don't think any of the institute journals start the same. So my style is that if I get once I've been allotted a paper, before I start my class, I work on a few publications in that area. For instance, a few years back, I was given the paper strategic planning. The moment I knew that I was getting strategic planning, I had a few papers on some of the core areas of strategic planning, say competitive advantage, say substitute materials, everything, substitution products. So these kind of value chain, benchmarking. So I just picked up the concepts. You can just have a paper across different journals. The main point is that when you work on a publication, you go through so much of reviews, you try to find out a gap, and now when you do that publication, you will be strong in that paper because you have done so much of review of literature. When you take the class, your class will be at a level, at a notch higher than what you do without a publication. So your publication should match with your paper. Publication does not need to be a compulsory activity concerned with your research. That is different. For submitting a PhD, you might need some publications. I don't talk about that publications. But, so this is how you do a publication. Publications are there are many ways in which you can do a publication. One more thing is, I have some publications like this. I go for a class. The class will be very interactive. So many new points will have come. And at the end of the class, I pick two students who got part of whom I interacted to a maximum extent, and I start a paper. Yeah, I just collaborate, or I just make them join. I just teach them the art of writing publication, and every year I ensure that I will have at least one paper along with my students. I will publish one paper along with my students. So you can turn our class into a publication. So you would have heard that. I'm not sure whether the lion, whether you know how a lion goes for hunting. See, the lion is one animal that never comes alone. There might be some cinemas where people will say that the lion is always alone. Lion goes out as a pack in search of his prey. Lion never comes alone. Hence, a group of lion is called as a pride, Pride. Lion always comes in groups in search of its prey. But what the lion does is, it will target the animal that is alone. If there is one deer that is injured or that cannot, madam, is it time? Is it time, madam? One particular deer that is alone, and madam, time now, madam. இல்லை வேண்டாம் மேடம், உங்களுக்கு உங்கள் டைம் சொல்லுங்க, நான் அந்த டைம் நான் முடிச்சிடறேன். என்ன டைம் மேடம் முடிக்கணும்? இன்னொரு 5 minutes க்ளோஸ் பண்ணிடலாம். ஓகே ஓகே ஓகே. So like they will target the animal that is isolated. So this is how you have to do your publication. You have to join as a team. You can work as a team. You can go for your data collection as a team, or you can just one person can choose one area for data collection, and when doing the data collection, they can do the data collection of others also. And at the end of the day, you can move along to your expert areas. So this is how you have to do your publications. So again, case study. This is something very important, especially for subjects like mine, management. There are scenarios drawn from industries, and this is how we do. Today, if I take a class on say conflict, and say yesterday my class was on leadership, and I have a case study that mixes this conflict and leadership, then I can give the student the case study after I complete these topics, so he can try to find out the issues in leadership and conflict, and he can come out with some ideas on how the case has to be taken. So this is something important. So we now talk something called as learning 2.0. So the old days are now gone. So today you have a life filled with options, choice, flexibility, and openness. You have something called as fingertip knowledge, and increased confidence that information can be easily accessed from our devices and network. Okay. Because we have fingertip knowledge, memorizing lists is very less important than being savvy at accessing such lists. So the days of memorizing is gone. When I was a student, if I had a student who can memorize the whole book, he'll be the king. But many times these students who memorized are not successful. They're so successful. Today, we don't memorize. We look at fingertip knowledge. Okay, if you are savvy with your fingertip knowledge, that will do. Again, we have a concept called students' engagement. A classroom that is filled with enthusiastic, motivated students is great. That is educationally meaningless if enthusiasm does not result in learning. Students who actively learn but do so reluctantly are not engaged. The student engaged is the product of motivation and active learning. So there are two things that is needed. If today I say an example, the student should, as soon as he goes home, he should open the internet and find out what I said is true. And he should find out if there is any other related articles. So that is what we call as active learning. And when does active learning occurs? If he has got the motivation. So it is a product. It is not a summation. So the product of motivation and active learning is what we call as student engagement. So what is industry collaboration? So how should you plan an industry visit? So if you are taking students for an industry visit, before you move the students to industry, you should tell the students what he is said to see in the industry. What is industrial accidents? What is safety? How safe should be a student? Recently, I heard an incident. One of my friends who is from the industry, he's got a lengthy experience in the industry. So after he joined the college, he arranged a tour to the same industry for his students. Just before the students were to leave, he was called for the last meeting. So in that meeting, it was announced that they have advised the students, and students will wear full-on shirts with tie for the industry visits. This guy was shocked because no one is allowed to wear a full-on shirt inside an industry premises. And tie is something that is unbelievable. He said that you cannot wear a tie and you cannot wear a full-on shirt inside an industry. No lace curtains are allowed inside it. Then the person in charge of that particular course or particular department, he said that, no, you really do not know much about how a student should be dressed. You are from the industry, you know only industrial dress. But student has to be dressed like a student. He just called the industry and said that I bring a bunch of students with tie and full-on shirts. They said, don't worry. They allowed Okay. Before entering into industry, we should be clear on what we are supposed to see there. Maybe a visit to the stores department will be helpful. They can teach you what is A class item, what is B class item, what is C class item, what is X, Y, Z items. So that is something relevant to the MBA department. If you are an engineer, maybe you can see the equipments. Always equipments might not be of much interest to you. Maybe they may take you to the model room and show you the process. Maybe something like product layout, the layout and all can be explained. The marketing side, how they stack the bags, how they plan the stacking and everything, that can be of importance. So you have to, before entering the industry, you have to plan what is really needed for your students. And when you are taking the classes, if you are talking about ABC analysis, there is no need that you take from the book and talk about goals, nuts and all. You can be very practical. You just take the example of a kitchen. Just take oil, cumin seeds, pepper, salt, this thing, what, even today water is being bought, water, custard water, rice, pulses, dal. Just put an ABC analysis for these items. That is the best way to teach. No need for talking about goals and nuts which a student might not understand. And this is my last slide. The students should definitely have cultures and other things. So these tend to act as stress shock observers in the career. They will continue to enjoy their days as a student even while they are being piped in their first work, because the first work will not be easy. The students just get piped like anything. So they should develop these kind of cultures and other things, help them to be self-confident, persistent. They develop leadership qualities. I have given the video of Turkish waste pickers, similar to municipality workers in our country. From the waste they collected, they developed musical instruments. They just formed a musical band. Now they are invited all over the country to perform in their free time. So this keeps them engaged in their jobs. Whatever affected component and everything we talked earlier, they themselves have developed ways to develop their affected component. I'll just show you how they perform. So this is called as this is their band, and this will be my last slide. Dharavi is the third largest slum in the world. There are so many children there who have to take care of their living. So just to ensure that beyond what they earn, they should have a life beyond their hard work. An NGO with the waste material. They formed a musical band using the children from Dharavi. This is the band. So if children from Dharavi or the municipal waste pickers of Turkey can form a band and something, definitely there will be so much of other than education activities. So I hope so. You all saw the smiles in the faces of those children. And the last one is, why did it take so long to shift to the online media? So every country should have an offset emergency plan. What is an offset emergency plan? If something bad happens not in my country but in my neighboring country, I should be ready for it. So take the case of China. When SARS crisis hit China, and in USA when Hurricane Katrina hit New Orleans, there was no other way to learn. This happened in 2004. They straight away moved to online learning. But we took some time to shift to this online mode. Oh, so online mode is definitely there to persist. Even now UGC, I believe, has specified a certain percentage in online mode. So online mode can be very, very useful, especially for sharing these kinds of material. So I thank the management of Ramakrishna College of Arts and Science, and especially Madam Mrs. Pragadishwari. Actually, she was the contact for me who arranged me for this program. I really enjoyed being part of your college program. I'm happy with the audience, and you can ask me questions. Whatever questions you have, you can really ask me. And with this, I close this session, and I thank you for being with me. Okay, you can ask me questions. Any questions you can ask me. If there is any questions, you can ask. Yeah, I think there is some question. You can Was there any problem with the voice?
Revati? Yes, ma'am. Thank you, sir. It was a very informative and useful session. We were able to gain a lot of knowledge about various management games, organizational commitment, change agent, etc. The presentation was very useful and will definitely create impact on upcoming researchers. We look forward to put some of the techniques we have learned today into practice. I request Dr. Pragadishwari ma'am, Assistant Professor, Department of BCom PA, to express gratitude for today's session.
Good afternoon to one and all present here. Distinguished dignitaries, conference participants, colleagues, and dear students, it is my proud privilege to propose the vote of thanks on their August occasion. First, I would like to thank our management for continuously encouraging us in all our research activities. Next, I place on record our deep sense of gratitude to our beloved principal, Dr. P.L. Sivakumar, who has been backbone in all our activities. My heartfelt thanks goes to our dean, Dr. J. Sanmuhananda Vadivel sir, who has been exceptionally helpful to us. And my humble thanks to all the excellent speakers of this 6 days FDP for their enthusiastic and interested discussion throughout the program. I once again thank the chief guest, Dr. Frank Sunil sir, for accepting our invitation in their busy schedule. I believe that our association will go a long way. Our special thanks to our HOD, Dr. K. Principal Anthony, who is the propelling force for this program. Finally, I like to thank the participants, colleagues, and our dear students for making this FDP a grand success. Once again, thank you.